What's happening, everybody, on this April 23rd, 2025? My name is Kevin Smith, and I'm a little dressed up for you guys today. I'm a little dressed up for everybody today. I will explain why in just a little bit. Happy to be back with you guys. Thank you for all the messages yesterday. Thank you, Jeremy, for filling in for me yesterday. We'll get to that. Why I wasn't here yesterday. No, maybe we'll get to that a little bit later on. But yeah, we are going to dive in because there was a fascinating interview between Tucker Carlson and Conor McGregor. I'm going to show you guys some of the clips that have been going viral from that, but I genuinely suggest everyone go and watch that. As Conor McGregor has announced that he may consider running for president of Ireland. Is this the end of the political era? We'll get into all of that. Also, President Trump has decided that he is going to come out for Long Island, baby. So all my Long Islanders out there, giddy up, let's go. President Trump has decided that he's going to come out in favor of Massapequa High School in not changing their mascot name. We're going to get into why he's doing that. We're going to get into what it actually means. Moreover, we're going to get into the contrast between what Donald Trump wants to do with places like Harvard and Kathy Hochul doing virtually the exact same thing for a much dumber reason. Also, a horrifying story out of California. An illegal immigrant who killed two teenagers in a drunk driving accident. A drunk driving episode, is let out of jail after serving 35% of his sentence. 35% of his sentence. Guys, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button, share the video out all over the place. Yes, I am a little dressed up for everybody today. I'm a little dressed up. I have tonight, immediately after the show, I am going to head on over to Long Island University. I'm going to be heading on over to Long Island University. My friend Paula Scanlon is speaking there. Of course, Paula was on the show a couple of weeks ago, talking about her experience having to be on the same team as Leah William Thomas on the University of Pennsylvania swim team. So she's going to be speaking at LIU Post. We call it LIU Post. Long Island University. Really excited about that, especially considering a couple of years ago, our local audience may remember that Long Island University was supposed to host Sean and myself, and then abruptly canceled it because of crazy leftists. So I'm going to be walking on that campus, much like Conor McGregor, walking through the octagon. And we're going to get to Conor McGregor because he was making some fascinating points. So yes, that is why I'm all dressed up. Guys, I do want to thank you for all the messages and all the prayers you guys have been sending out the last couple of days. For my mom, I'm going to hold off on news on that only because, I'm going to hold off on that just because we don't really have a lot of details at the moment. But when I know more, I'll let you guys know. Guys, do me a favor. Hit that thumbs up button. Share the video out all over the place. This show, as always, is brought to you guys by Old Glory Bank.
When big banks decide who gets access to America's financial systems and who doesn't, who do you think gets left out? Middle Americans who proudly wave their pro-America values. Cancel culture in banking is corrosive. It limits your participation in a vibrant, free market economy. Fortunately, you can fight back. You now have the opportunity to invest in the bank that's investing in a fair American banking system, one based in freedom. Ownership in Old Glory Bank, the pro-America online bank, is here. Old Glory Bank is a full-service FDIC-insured bank that's the alternative to overreaching, un-American big banks. We stand for privacy, security, and liberty. We stand for freedom, family, faith, and the flag. We stand for all the values you stand for, and for the values big banks can't stand. So help keep banking in the hands of Main Street, not Wall Street. To invest in Old Glory Bank, go to oldglorybank.com.
Guys, support the parallel economy and the people who are building the parallel economy by going to own.oldglorybank.com. That's own.oldglorybank.com, and own part of a bank. That's pretty good. That's pretty good stuff. So guys, go to own.oldglorybank.com. Let's dive right in. So Tucker Carlson, who obviously has been making waves over the course of the last several months with many of his interviews, is continuing to make waves when he sat down with maybe the best UFC fighter ever, top 5 for sure. That would be the notorious Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor obviously has been in the cultural lexicon for quite some time, and he's by far the most famous person from Ireland. Look, the interview, the conversation is about an hour long. I would urge everybody to go and watch that. I would urge everyone to go and watch that. I think it's very good. We're going to talk about some of the clips because, like many of us here in America, we are seeing a dissolving of our culture. And it's being done with the mass importation of those who do not share our values. Now, that doesn't mean immigrants. That means people who have no intention of assimilating, people who have no intention of becoming Americans, bringing the best part of their world into our world and making it better the way many of our parents and grandparents did throughout the turn of the 20th century. At the beginning of the 20th century, I should say. Well, in Europe, the UK, Ireland, Northern Ireland in particular, this comes in the form of radical Islamic extremism. Radical Muslims. Not regular Muslims, the insane ones. The ones who practice the Sharia. The ones who dress their women up like beekeepers. The ones who haven't really gotten out of the 9th century yet. And I'm sure that's going to come as a shock to a lot of people. But on some level, Conor McGregor has seen what has happened to his country. And I want to be clear, with the exception of maybe Italians, there are no more proud people outside of America on planet Earth than the Irish. I mean the real Irish, not like the ones that live in, the ones that live on Long Island. I mean the people of Ireland. And Conor McGregor had a very interesting point when it comes to the corruption of the political elites. His message to them is, we are peaceful, but we are not harmless. And I think that phrase encapsulates what you, me, many of us have been feeling over the course of the last several years with the movement of Donald Trump, with the movement of populism all over the world, with the end of the globalist tides, with the end of the let's do what's good for everyone. I'm proud of the fact that a guy like Conor McGregor thinks that Ireland is the best country in the world. I am proud of the fact that myself and everyone on this network and everyone watching this show believes that America is the greatest country in the world. I wish the people of France would feel that way about France. And I wish the people of Germany would feel the same way about Germany. And on and on and on. But for a long time, we in the West have been taught a sort of guilt trip that we have provided no good to the rest of the world, that we are the cause of all the world's sufferings, and therefore we should sit back and and let the rest of the world lead the way, show us how things are to be done. And a lot of people, whether it is the people of El Salvador who now live in relative peace, whether it is the America First populism movement, whether it is the rise of people like Nigel Farage in the UK, or Marine Le Pen in France, or Giorgina Meloni, or Matteo Salvini in Italy, Geert Wilders in the Netherlands, Javier Milei in Argentina, People are starting to accept the fact that the world that they grew up in, the culture that they grew up in, is gone. And nobody is willing to say why out loud. For fear of offense, for fear of, I don't know, being labeled a naughty word by our legacy media. And people like Conor McGregor are saying no. Much the way we here in the America First movement are saying, if you come to America and commit a crime, you're gone. If you come to our country and you provide no net benefit to this country, you are gone. Here is Conor McGregor speaking on Ireland.
Bed even in a prison, let alone we can't house our people. We can't even have a bed for the prisoners. So straight away you're going in there. You came in, you committed a crime on our soil, you're gone. That's it. No ifs, ands, or buts. Why is the taxpayer paying to keep prisoners from foreign countries in our prisons, and it's being overrun? So, that I would be up for that. And then I would be going to these IPAS centres. I would be going to the direct provision centres. How did you enter our country? Illegally? You're gone. Have you a criminal history? You're gone. Is there a genuine attempt to assimilate into the culture and achieve a job and give to the community and support the community? If so, yes, Cade Mila Fáilte. If not, gone. And, we can do that. And then also a turning off of the tap. Right now, as I said about the car situation, they arrive, you get favor if you're from another nation.
You get favor if you're from another nation. Now, does that sound familiar to anybody in this chat? I've long said it, that when Europe sneezes, America catches a cold. Everything that happens in America happened in Europe 5 years ago. Just look at the no-go zones that are all over European countries. There are no-go zones on Long Island, Fifth Avenue, all of Brentwood, the numbered streets in Huntington Station, the Four Corners in Wyandanch. Places, now, if you're not from here, you obviously don't know what the hell those mean, but they've been overrun by criminal gangs. They've been overrun by criminal gangs. And it is more than just the dissolving of a nation. It is a culture. You have this idea when you go to Ireland, when you go to France, when you go to England, you have this idea of what you're going to see. Those days are gone. They don't exist. For a long time, we've been given this ridiculous sort of mantra here in the West that we are a melting pot. We are a melting pot. Yeah, melting pots take the best from other cultures and dispense with the rest of them. Would it shock you all? Would it shock you all if I said that there are traditions, particularly throughout the Muslim world, that have entered into the American lexicon? Would that shock anybody? I'm going to show you guys something that is probably going to horrify you. Can I pull it up here real quick? These are not right-wing sources. But what if I were to tell you that nearly, here you go, top story, Washington Post. 500,000 girls in America have undergone female genital mutilation, FGM, which is a common practice in the Muslim world. We can scroll all the way through. ABC News. Here we go. Let's go to page 2. Nobody ever does that. USA Today. Let's pull this up. What if I were to tell you that was happening right here in America? A story that nobody wants to talk about. Why? Because they don't want to be labeled far right or racist. It is not racist to want to protect your culture. It is not racist to want to protect the things you hold dear. Naturally, Conor McGregor has been labeled the new leader of Ireland's far right. Here's how he responded to that.
CNN has described you as the leader, and I'm quoting, of Ireland's far right.
Who has?
CNN, which is a news channel in the United States.
Mm-hmm. Far left, far right, all of these terminologies mean nothing to me. I'm a family man. I'm an employer of the country. You know, I'm a supporter of many people, and I care about my land and the safety of its citizens and the prosperity of its citizens. I want preference. I want peace, preference, and prosperity for the citizens of Ireland, for my people. And isn't that fair for our countrymen and women? It is our country. Ireland is for Ireland. You know, and that is it. So I'm not right, left. You know, I feel I'm centered, grounded. That is what I feel. In fact, I ground myself every day. I walk out and I ground myself every day, barefoot in the grass. Barefoot is king. I fought in the octagons, in the cages all around the countries of Ireland, and then into the United States of America, barefoot. So I am a grounded man, neither left, right. I am center and grounded.
I am centered. I took the jacket off because it's hot as hell in here. Centered. I've long said on this show that I am sick and tired of meeting the left halfway. It's time for them to meet us halfway. Where we are. There is nothing wrong with protecting your nation. There is nothing wrong with protecting your culture. Because we hear a lot of talk about genocide these days. There's a genocide in Gaza. There's a genocide in Ukraine. Why don't we talk about the cultural genocide that's going on in the West? And the real West. Europe, America, Australia, New Zealand. The people who have kept the world free for so long. There is a cultural genocide happening in Western civilization. Here's Connor.
If they're paying foreigners to have kids while you can't afford to have kids, if they're shaking you down with the armed police, but allowing foreigners a pass, if they're paying to fix foreigners' cars but not yours, they hate you and they're trying to kill you, right?
It's an erasure. It's an attempted erasure of our people. That is it. I could have went all that way in the White House. I had to climb. You go incrementally up, right? You go in. Hey, you talk about a genocide. This is the genocide of our people.
Obviously.
The party's talking about the cars because in Ireland, if you're an immigrant, the government will fix your car for you for free. That's the part he was talking about. The cultural genocide that has been going on for quite some time. And if you speak out against it, you get labeled, you get up, you get downed. The legacy media will besmirch you the way they've done President Trump. Things like the Very Fine People hoax, or the lie about the Covington kids, or the Jussie Smollett hoax. They will just besmirch every single bit of what you are. They will beat it out of you. They will beat it out of you until there's nothing left. Until there's nothing left. The people on television, they hate you. They hate you up ways, left ways, down ways, and center. And Scott Jennings makes this point on CNN about how the people on television are always completely confused by how the American people actually feel about things. Why? Because people who wear makeup on television are not like you. They're not like me. They're not like everybody you run into at the grocery store. They have no grounding in the real world. Here's Scott Jennings.
The problem is that the right wing, hello, Scott, has taken advantage of this situation, I think, quite cleverly, quite wisely. They've played into a weakness.
What situation?
The situation of media being under attack. And so they've created a situation where...
You've almost got it. Keep going. What the right wing is taking advantage of is finally the American people saying enough is enough. They're tired of feeling like the mass media screens out one viewpoint versus another in political coverage. They're tired of media institutions favoring one party over another. They're tired of narratives over factual stories. If I had any advice for 60 Minutes or anybody else, it would be just cover the news and try to be fair about it and stop putting your finger on the scale, especially during campaigns.
You're talking about the old mass media myth that you could have this thing that was in the middle. The Walter Cronkite saying, that's the way it is, when it wasn't for many Americans the way it was. When people were pissed off.
But people back in those days trusted the media, did they not?
No, they just couldn't be heard because there was no two-way. Now we have the internet.
Look at the Gallup polling. It was here, and now it's here. It's fallen off of a cliff.
Yeah, we do have that Gallup polling about trust in media, and now, as in recent years, and let's be honest, Scott, a lot of this is driven by the rhetoric on your side of the aisle.
I mean,
it's not. You think it's driven by the rhetoric and not the performance?
Absolutely.
But my point is this: if you're CBS or any other news outlet, the reason that you have lost trust ought to be obvious to you, and the way to fix it also ought to be obvious to you, and it has nothing to do with Donald Trump and everything to do with the product. Just try to make a better product that appeals to more people. And the way you appeal to more people is by not crapping on half or more than half of the country because of their values and political viewpoints.
I think that is
what you'd end up with in that press room then is, and these are my words, the freak show that Trump wants. Trump tries to devalue media. Why should we value his freak show there? Leave it to the freaks.
I think calling them freaks.
I don't think there's any disagreement on that, by the way.
I mean, he called these new media sources the freak show. They're not freaks. They have audiences.
Some of them are.
They have audiences, and there's a reason that they're thriving is because the people are starved for information that they think they can trust. They're not freaks. They're filling a need in this country, in my opinion.
They're filling a need in this country. There's a reason why you guys are watching this show and not watching the legacy media. There's a reason why that interview with Tucker Carlson and Conor McGregor has got millions of views. There's a reason why people like the Daily Wire and Turning Point USA and Tim Pool and people like that are in the press room. That entire exchange came down to that entire exchange you just saw right there was all about one question asked in the press room yesterday by Tim Pool. And we're going to get to that in 1 second about how the world is changing. And Abby Phillip in that clip, you know what? We're going to get to it. We're going to get to it. Oh, what did I do? The hell did I do there? We're going to get to it in 1 second. Before we do that, Mike Lindell.
I'm excited to announce that we're having our first ever mega sale on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save over 50% on this season's flannel sheets. Queen size only $59.98. Kings only $69.98. They sell out fast every year, so order now. Save 20% on our brand new My Crosses. They're designed in the likeness of the one I've worn every day for over 20 years. They come in men's and women's, and they're made right here in the USA. Get our 2025 6-piece My Towel sets for only $29.98. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. And our best-selling standard My Pillows, just $14.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to take advantage of our first ever mega sale. But wait, remember that $75 free shipping rule? Well, that ship is sailed because right now, every order ships absolutely free.
Guys, head on over to MyPillow.com. Promo code LOUD. That's MyPillow.com. Promo code LOUD for up to 80% off everything on the website. That's MyPillow.com. Promo code LOUD. So what was that exchange all about? That exchange calling new media the freak shows. Well, yesterday, Tim Pool, who objectively has one of the biggest shows in political podcasting, strictly in political podcasting, you know, there's guys like Rogan and Patrick Bet-David, guys that talk about politics, but you know that I wouldn't say that's their primary focus of their show. Tim Pool got to sit in the White House press room yesterday and asked Carolyn Levitt, I don't know, what I would consider to be a fairly basic question about why it is exactly that it's okay for members of the press corps who repeatedly lie to the American people to still sit there.
Many of the news organizations that are represented in this room have marched in lockstep on false narratives, such as the Very Fine People hoax, the Covington smear, and now what's being called the Maryland Man hoax, where an MS-13 gang member adjudicated by 2 different judges, I believe, is just simply being referred to as a Maryland Man over and over again. Now, in an effort from the White House to expand access to new companies, you've created this new media seat. So I'm wondering if you can comment on, following this expansion, you've had numerous outlets disparage the companies that you've had sit here, as well as the reporters. I'm wondering if you could comment on the unprofessional behavior, as well as elaborate if there's any plans to expand access to new companies.
Sure. Well, we certainly welcome diverse viewpoints in this room, which is one of the reasons we have you in here, and there's many new faces in this room in comparison to the previous administrations. We want to welcome all viewpoints into this room. We welcome unbiased journalists who really care about the truth and the facts and the accuracy, and you rightfully pointed out the Maryland Man story, which I, from this podium, when The Atlantic published it, on that very first day, I came to this podium and said, this is wrong. The press in this room have this story wrong, and we have seen more and more evidence come to the table that we have had all along. We were always right. The president was always on the right side of this issue to deport this illegal criminal from our community. And it is despicable to see the media continue to refer to this individual as someone who is just a peaceful man living his life in Maryland. This was and always has been an illegal criminal, an MS-13 gang member, and a designated foreign terrorist. And the administration maintains our position to deport these individuals from our community. So thank you for being here, Tim. It's great to see you. Thank you.
And you know what the problem with it is? As I said, you get it wrong, and some old man on CNN calls you a freak it seemed like a pretty standard question to me, while Caitlin Collins sits there with her resting Joker face. Very confused by all of this. Very confused. But what happens when you speak out and you get smeared by the media? What happens when you speak out and the smears don't work? Well, they move on. They move on to more and more elaborate tactics. Need I remind you of Butler, Pennsylvania? And Tucker Carlson asked Conor McGregor if he's worried about this, if he's worried about what's happening, about what he's saying, standing up for the people of Ireland, standing up for his culture from foreign invaders.
So you're one of the most, maybe the most famous living Irishman. Okay, so there's that, world famous. And you're saying things that the overwhelming majority of your politicians will not say, that are probably pretty popular with the people. So you're therefore a massive threat to the structure running your country now. What do you think they're going to do to you if you keep talking this way?
Attempt to tarnish as they are, attempt to disrupt as they are, or possibly worse. But I do not fear. I do not fear it. Like I said, I move forward under God, and my nation can see. My nation can see my heart and what I'm for, and that's it. That's like I move on and carry on.
You're really not afraid at all?
Not an iota.
Not even a little bit. Because when you stand up for what you believe in and you have God on your side, you know that you're good. The people of Ireland will protect Conor McGregor just as the people of America have protected Donald Trump. Nationalism is back, and I'm proud to say I'm a nationalist. I'm proud to say that I believe in this country, that I think it is the most uncertain, that I think it is the most unparalleled country that has ever existed. I'm proud that Connor thinks that about his country, and I'm proud that you think it about yours. Instead of feeling this sort of Western guilt that we've all been taught to experience for no reason whatsoever. Why? Because we gave the world things like electricity and indoor plumbing. I don't know. We stopped famines all over the world. We spent the last 80 years protecting the world from itself. I will not feel guilty for that. And there's nothing anyone can do to make me feel guilty for it. And just as I will never feel guilty for it, I will also never, ever think it is the responsibility of the American people or the responsibility of the West in general to take in the totality of the world's poor because it happens to suck in other places. I don't think I have to do that. I don't think I have to do that whatsoever. In just a minute, we're going to show you exactly what happens when we take in bad immigrants, how it affects good immigrants. But before we get to that, real quick, guys, you guys, how many, chat real quick, I want to make sure I'm not speaking out of turn here. Before I showed you Conor McGregor, did you guys know who he was? Had you guys heard of the notorious Conor McGregor before I mentioned him or before he sat down with Tucker. I'm not going to pretend to have a bigger show than Tucker. I'm just curious if you guys knew who he was. I'll let the chat sort of populate while we dive into that question. Did you guys know who Conor McGregor was? Let's let the chat populate a little bit. Yes. Okay. Everyone knows. Everybody knows. Conservative Autumn, what's up? Oh, Sassy. Okay, we got some. All right. We got some people who hadn't heard of him, which is interesting to me. Now, why am I asking this? Well, in just a minute, I'm going to show, actually just right now, I'm going to show you guys if Conor McGregor ran for the president of Ireland, he would be running against a man named Michael Higgins. I'm not going to assume anybody, I didn't know, I had to look it up. And then I had a good laugh. But why did I have a good laugh? Because it turns out if Conor McGregor runs for president of Ireland, this is the man he's going to be running against. A guy who looks like, I don't know, Larry David just got out of bed. That is the current president of Ireland. Something tells me if Conor McGregor does decide to throw his hat in the ring, or in the octagon for that matter, I think he's going to be doing okay. That is, if that's your competition, I think you're pretty safe, Conor. I hope you do it, brother. I hope you make Ireland great again. I hope you do. Maybe Trump can send you. Maybe we'll get some hats made up. Make Ireland great again, guys. Do me a favor, hit that thumbs up button, share the video out all over the place. We are rocking, we are rolling today. Do me a favor, guys. Head on over to loudmajorityusa.com. That's loudmajorityusa.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Check out our shop. We've got a bunch of stuff on sale over there. We're going to show you guys all the sale price stuff right now. Boom. Let's see. Half off everything on this website real quick. But, alas, there is more. Of course there is more. Boom, look at all that good stuff, guys. Check out all the stuff over there today. It's almost shorts weather. It was like 80 degrees here the other day. We got shorts. We got leggings for the ladies. All the good stuff. Fellas, you're going to love. Guys, I have a pair of these. You're going to absolutely love these basketball shirts we have. So check those out today, guys. Head on over to loudmajorityusa.com and use promo code LFA to get 20% off everything on the website. That's promo code LFA to get 20% off everything on the website. So before I was speaking about good immigrants and bad immigrants, what does that mean? I want to make it very clear. And nefarious people, bad people, jackasses will try to claim I'm making this about race, or I'm making it about language, or I'm making it about you don't want brown people here. No, it has nothing to do with that whatsoever. Good immigrants are people who come to this country and want to contribute. Good immigrants are ones who want to make the country better, who want to take these skills in which they have learned in their country and bring it over here, as opposed to what we have now in many colleges where people from China or South Korea or many other nations around the world will come to our universities, will get phenomenal educations, and then they will go back to their home countries as doctors or dentists, and they will then practice all the stuff they've learned here in America, making their country better. Here's a story of two immigrants. I'm not sure where they're from. It seems maybe some kind of Eastern European country, maybe Poland, might even be Ukraine, whatever. You can tell they have some kind of an Eastern European accent, who came to America, had two beautiful children, who began dating, only to have their lives extinguished by an illegal immigrant from South America who had been previously deported a bunch of times while drunk driving. I want you to, on the point I'm trying to make here, I want you to listen to what the second man says at the end of this clip. These are the people I would welcome into America. Listen to this.
And now to Bill Malugin. He has a Fox News exclusive on the tragic consequences of an unsecured border. Hi, Bill. Been waiting to talk to you all morning.
Yeah, Dana, good morning to you. This illegal alien had a lengthy rap sheet here in California long before he ever killed these two California teenagers. He's got several felony convictions on his record, several convictions for driving without a license, but he was still out and about on California's roads. And this young American couple ended up paying the price for that. And now their killer is getting an early release. It was November 2021, a fiery collision on an Orange County freeway. A young couple dead, and the driver who crashed into them, a twice-deported illegal alien from Mexico with multiple felonies, in custody for being drunk, high, and speeding at nearly 100 miles per hour.
I got a knock on the door, and there's two police officers.
The pain written all over the face of Pavel Osokin, as he recalls being told his son Nikolai and his 19-year-old girlfriend Anya Varfolomeev, friends since they were kids, were gone.
They told me there was a horrible incident. My son and his girlfriend, Anya, basically were burned alive in their car. She was my daughter.
Anya's father, Anatoly, got a similar knock on the door that night.
He said Anya's name. I said, yes, it's my daughter. My wife came downstairs and she was screaming and crying. She said, no, 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 no.
In spring of 2022, a jury convicted Oscar Eduardo Ortega Anguiano on 2 counts of gross vehicular manslaughter while intoxicated. A judge sentenced him to 10 years. But on Easter Sunday, the family say they received this notice from the California Department of Corrections that on July 19th, he'll be getting out.
2 years for killing 2 kids. It's confusing to me. Why you give them 10 if they're going to spend 5 and then 3?
Yeah, 2 young, productive American citizens killed for nothing. And that illegal immigrant who already has been deported twice is going to be released again?
In a statement, the Department of Corrections wouldn't confirm the release, but said in part, quote, incarcerated persons may earn credits for participating in rehabilitative programming, which may move their parole dates to an earlier date. Anya and Nikolai's families are now sending letters to the state, calling for Ortega Anguiano to serve his full sentence.
All those dreams were cut short just by one person who was not even supposed to be on that freeway. I will never forgive this guy. Never, ever.
I hope he's going to stay in prison. I hope he's going to get old in prison. And I hope he's going to get kicked out from our country in the end.
And Dana, ICE confirms to Fox News they have placed a detainer on this illegal alien with the California Department of Corrections. Their hope is that the state will transfer him to their custody upon his release from prison in July. As for the victims' families, they're now left wondering, what are 2 lives worth here in the state of California? They say, apparently, only a little more than 3 years. We'll send it back to you.
Bill Malusian, thank you.
Now, the part of that I want you to pay attention to is what the guy said at the very end. I hope he is deported from our country. See, those are the immigrants we want. The people who, I mean, that guy, look, he's clearly not born here. I'm not sure where he's from, what his story is, it's not the point. Clearly not born in America. Pretty hard accent. But when that guy got the opportunity to come to this country, he embraced it. He loved it. He made children in this country. He, at the very least, is attempting to speak the language of the country. Assimilating to our culture. All that to be mowed down. All that for his children, for his child, and another teenager to be burned alive in a car by an illegal immigrant who had already been deported from the country and snuck in under the Biden administration. Yet, we have people like Senator Chris Van Hollen who still still advocate for illegal immigrant, particularly gang members, to be brought back into our country. Meanwhile, in his home state of Maryland, illegal immigrants are continuing to kill people, but Chris Van Hollen, he didn't really care.
Now, this is the father of her children, Casey Barrera Rosa. He's charged with murder, and he's currently in ISIS custody. And we also have this mugshot of his uncle. Authorities charge Rolvin Barrera with being an accessory to the crime. A spokesperson for the Charles County Sheriff's Office says the suspect was methodical in hiding this woman's body, burying her deep, and using old dirt to conceal the hole.
Upon discovering her body, which was wrapped in a blanket and again buried about 5 feet below the ground, it was a moment of relief for the detectives that they were able to tell her family, we have found her.
So when we first reported this, authorities told us that they found fraudulent immigration documents for Barrera Rosa and confirmed he was in the U.S. illegally.
Oh, you don't say. Oh, add that to the list of we told you so. Turns out, if you're going to break into a country, it's probably incredibly likely you're going to have fraudulent immigration documents. I don't know. So, let's see. Murder, fraud. I'm sure there was some kind of sexual assault that took place involved in all of that. But don't worry, guys. You're not supposed to notice any of that. You're just supposed to feel bad for the human trafficking, illegal immigrant, wife-beating gang member who happened to live in Maryland. But Chris Van Hollen, he didn't care. He doesn't care one way or the other. As a matter of fact, because of the media's malfeasance, it is hilarious to watch. Hilarious to see how even top Democrats can't get off the narrative. Excuse me. They can't get off the narratives. New DNC chairman David Hogg, or vice chairman David Hogg, I got a lot to say about that kid, stepping on his friends' graves so that he could get into Harvard. Yeah, I said it. He was on the Sunday shows, and former head of the RNC, Reince Priebus, absolutely decimated him as David Hogg continues the Maryland man hoax, as it is now being called.
Got no message. They've got no movement. They've got no leader. I mean, it doesn't get any worse than that. I mean, you're defending Harvard. You're traveling to El Salvador for MS-13 gang members. But here's the point. You're taking $20 million. If I'm looking at someone, my vice chair of the RNC, taking $20 million for another effort, it's $20 million out of the DNC's pocket. You can't be on the board of the Fishing and Forest Company and on Greenpeace at the same time. There are places for groups to hold the party accountable. I think it's right.
Yeah, let me push back against that. This was not an MS-13 gang member, and you damn well know that.
Oh, come on.
He was not.
Okay,
and
so keep defending this guy.
The administration admitted this was wrong. In America, we have due process, and we are a land of law and order. We are a land of law and order. And this administration is repeatedly showing time and time again they do not care about what the Supreme Court says. They do not care about the rule of law. And you cannot defend sending people to another country.
Just did a poll
to another country where they don't have
Americans
rights.
Think that
where he's
all
denied counsel,
illegal immigrants
due process,
should be deported,
and so much more.
by the way. So you're losing your effort. So if you want to try to defend the constitutionality of deporting a illegal immigrant that's here,
he took a lot of time to come after me.
He's here illegally. The Intel community, every Intel community agency and the White House say he is a member of MS-13.
Hey, Reince. Okay, Reince.
Every one of them says he is a member of MS-13. But David Hogg, a guy who pretended to be in a school shooting so that he could step over his friends' graves in order to get into Harvard, he says he's not, guys. Let them keep up with the narrative. Why don't we trust the media anymore? Did you see that Democratic panel they had right there? It was David Hogg, a dumbass, and Donna Brazile, A woman who was openly admitted to and got fired for funneling questions before a Democratic debate to Hillary Clinton to screw over Bernie Sanders. That's not conjecture. She admitted it. And you wonder why there's a lack of trust in media? And they wonder why a new poll out shows that young Americans support congressional Democrats at 23%. 23%. That's all they've got. That's all they've got. Yet they trot out this schmuck, David Hogg, to continue beclowning himself, making an ass out of his party. Look, we're going to talk about voting at the end of this and why it's so critical and why it's so important, because Donald Trump's approval numbers are slipping as well, according to a new Gallup poll. And we're going to contrast those two polls in just a second. Before we get to that, guys, head on over to LFATV.us. That's LFATV.us. That's your home base, your mothership, your landing pad for all things LFA TV related. Check out the LFA TV store. That is the best way to support this network and everything we've got going on. Also, guys, make sure you keep, I would tell you to put the show on, but you know what? Just put it on at 8 in the morning and just leave it on all day long. That way we can have some numbers like The View for all the people watching our show inside of doctors' offices and whatnot. So just, guys, put it on your TV, on your Rumble app. Let it rock, let it roll all the live long day. Giddy up, let's go. Or head on over to LFATV.us and consider becoming monthly donors. So David Hogg does great when he's sitting down on MSNBC, not facing any real pushback whatsoever. He goes on CBS, and Reince Priebus, one of the biggest neocons in history, slaps him around a little bit. Here was David Hogg showing just how tough he was with Jen Psaki.
Yes. This doesn't violate bylaws.
No.
It is something that has...
And other vice chairs have been involved in primaries before.
Yeah, it's something, though, that has angered traditional DNC members.
Mm-hmm. Some of them.
Some of them. I don't want to overstate. Mm-hmm. But how do you think, are you ready to put that at risk? If they said you can't do this, are you going to still...
This is a break the glass moment.
So meaning if they tell you can't do this, you're going to leave your vice chair job?
Ultimately, if they decide to remove me, I have no control over that. I'm going to do everything I got elected to this position to fight to win back our young people and make sure that across the board with every single demographic pretty much except the elderly and the highly educated, we lost margins this past election cycle. This is a major crisis for our party right now, and it needs to be met with the ferocity it deserves so that we're able to win back those young people, win back the margins that we lost with a lot of those demographics. And that's not going to happen with the traditional tactics of just standing by and acting like, let's just play our turn and let's just hope if we put $200 million behind these frontline candidates that we're just all of a sudden going to get to winning again. We need bold tactics in this moment. Our base knows it. And I will tell you, although there are people in this town that this is upset, that are benefiting from the status quo, they want to do two things at the same time. They want to keep the same people in the positions of power that they're in right now, and they want to win, but we cannot do that. We have to bring in new people. So if people want to support our work, they can go to leaderswedeserve.com.
David Hogg, thank you for being here. When you know more, when you learn more, when you figure out candidates, I hope you'll come back and talk.
Yeah, I hope you'll come back. I got news for you, David Hogg, okay? Your only demographic is absurdly rich people. And they are not going to continue funneling money to the Democratic Party with idiots like you in charge of it. It's not going to happen. But David Hogg is right. They are losing young people at a rapid rate, which is why tonight I will be at Long Island University with my friend Paula Scanlon. She is with the Riley Gaines Center for protecting women in sports, but protecting women more generally. She also works for Scott Pressler's organization, Early Vote Action. She's a really good friend of mine, and I'm really happy she's going to be there. But you cannot be, David Hogg, someone who is mad that the world is changing or wants to see the world change, but will not fund it. You think these big Hollywood actors are going to be shoveling out money for people like you who who believe in Israel while you support people who support terrorism? You think they're going to shovel that money out the door? It's never going to happen, kid. Never going to happen. And moreover, if you're more concerned about losing young people, maybe don't put the biggest pansy I've ever seen in my entire life front and center on all of your causes. And that's why young people are fleeing the Democratic Party in droves. We've got this from the Post Millennial. A new poll released by the Institute of Politics at Harvard has revealed that support for congressional Democrats among Americans under the age of 30 has plummeted since the spring of 2017. The poll found that just 23% of young Americans approve of congressional Democrats, compared to 48% who replied in the fall of 2020 and 42% in 2017. Support for congressional Republicans and Donald Trump has remained steady over the years. In regards to congressional Democrats, 29% of young people said they approve of their performance in the spring poll, while 31% said it in 2020 and 28% said it in 2017, respectively. The approval of Donald Trump's job performance among young people was at 31% in the spring of 2025. 31% among young people. What does that mean? That means as the young people flee the Democratic Party, there is only one place for them to go. Because guess what? Young people don't write checks for hundreds of millions of dollars. They don't do that. They can't do that. They're young people. Okay? So a guy like David Hogg has got two options. He either wins back the young people in his party by pissing off the people who pay the bills, or he capitulates. And that's why it is so important for people like us to get out in those streets, as Jasmine Crockett would say, to talk to some of these young people about what they want and what they're looking for. And you are seeing the numbers, the number of support Donald Trump has amongst young people, higher than Republicans have ever had. While boomers are the ones most likely to be pissed off at Donald Trump. We'll get to that in 1 second. Before we do that, guys, boom, let's see. Hit the thumbs up button. Share the video out all over the place. We are rocking. We are rolling here. Waiting for Will Johnson to come up at 2 p.m. Once again, for my local audience tonight, Long Island University in Westbury. Come down. It's going to be one hell of a time. I hear there's going to be counter-protesters, which I am very much looking forward to. I'm very much looking forward to, because I believe one of them will be a member of my family. That's a real statement right there. So that ought to be funny as hell. That ought to be funny as hell. Now, as Democrats continue to lose the battle on the cultural front, Donald Trump is stepping right the way into it. Long Island, can you do me a favor, Long Island? Can you say hello in the chat? I want to know how many people are watching from Long Island as I read this next story. Because there is a huge controversy boiling up here on Long Island. Long Island, for those of you who don't know, many of our towns are named after Indians, Indian tribes, Indian leaders, Native American populations. And the state of New York is very upset, because some of our teams have insignia of Native Americans, whether it be the Massapequa Chiefs or the Wantagh Indians or the Wyandanch Indians. Many of them, some of you may be in the chat here. Maybe you went to these schools. Maybe you went to East Islip, the East Islip Redmen. Well, it turns out Governor Kathy Hochul not very thrilled at the fact that there is Indian insignia on some of our schools. And she has decided that she is going to pull funding from the schools that don't change their name from this India insignia. Now, some of the schools have capitulated, which is frustrating and rather annoying. But some of them, like Massapequa, are saying, come on, do it. You ain't got the stones. And Massapequa, hey, look, I'm a Lindenhurst guy, so it pains me. It pains me to support Massapequa in any way, but Massapequa, who has been at the front and center of many of the cultural issues when it comes to COVID, masking, and the like, is telling Governor Hochul, you will not pass. You will not do this. You will not remove our names. It's not going to happen. And so far, it has made it all the way to the top, as Donald Trump on Monday directed his Secretary of Education to investigate a New York school that has been ordered by a federal judge to change its Native American mascot, the Chiefs. This comes after Massapequa High School come on, post-millennial, don't say in Long Island. It's not in it's on Long Island. Solicited the president for help after a school district lost a lawsuit against the state requiring the mascot change. Under New York law, schools must remove indigenous-related emblems before the end of the school year. In a Truth Social post, Donald Trump said, I agree with the people of Massapequa, Long Island, who are fighting furiously to keep the Massapequa Chiefs logo on their team. Now, why do I bring this up? Why do I bring this up? It's a small town on Long Island. Most of you don't care. If you're from here, you definitely care. But many of you, I'm sure, you're like, oh, how the hell does this affect me? So let me get this straight. Donald Trump isn't allowed to remove billions of dollars from Harvard for teaching our young people to hate our country. But Kathy Hochul is allowed to remove funding because of a Native American logo. Funny, none of them asks them to change the names of their town from places like Comswag or Connecticut or Wyandanch or Massapequa or Wantaw or any of the other Native American named towns we have here on Long Island, which I'm sure people will tell you is almost all of them. But Donald Trump can't take the money back from Harvard for teaching young people to hate America. I don't know. It's almost like if the Democrats didn't have double standards, they wouldn't have any standards at all. Guys, it is 2 p.m. I want to thank everybody so much for tuning in. Will Johnson will be popping up on the screen any minute now. I want to thank everybody. First off, I want to thank everybody on Long Island who continued to fight for many of our schools. I know so many of you are from here, and I know there's plenty of Massapequa Chiefs in the chat. So, guys, I will catch you guys back live tomorrow. I hope you can come out tonight, 5 o'clock, Long Island University. Me, my friend Paula Scanlon, and the Americana Club at LIU Post. Guys, I'll catch you back live tomorrow. Until then, everybody, stay loud.